feels really weird to be filming. Hey everyone, how are y'all doing? Welcome back to my channel. So it's been quite a while. It's been a few weeks since I last uploaded a video, but it's been even longer than that since I've sat down to film like a proper video. Like not a vlog, just sitting down in front of the camera and chatting with you guys. So a lot has been going on recently, so I thought it made sense to come back with a little bit of an update catch-up video plus a little mini Q&A as well before hopefully diving back into some more regular content. Yeah, I just have a lot to update on, so I figured this was the perfect way to go about that. So first I'm going to be sharing some more general like life updates if any of you are interested in kind of where I've been, what I've been going through recently, and kind of why I haven't been making videos. And then I want to talk about some writing updates because I have quite a bit to update you guys on, and I don't want to just like include it at the beginning of a vlog and it's not enough to make like its own entire video. So we're going to do a little bit of a writing update as well, and I want to talk about some books that I've been reading this year that I've been absolutely loving that I don't think I've talked about in any videos so far this year, so I'm very excited about that. And then we'll be jumping into the Q&A at the end. So as you guys know, if you've been watching my videos, I think I primarily talked about it in like writing vlogs and stuff. I honestly don't even remember, but I have been trying some different antidepressants since I think November of last year, like the very end of November. So I tried this one anxiety med that really works for me, but it's not one that I can take all the time. It's just one that I need to take when I'm feeling particularly anxious or doing something that will make me anxious. So that one has been working great, but it's not one that I can take every single day. So then my doctor tried to put me on this type of antidepressant, and that one really did not work for me as we upped the dose, and it just wasn't working in general. It wasn't making me feel better, it was just making me feel worse. It was affecting my sleep schedule really badly, and just in general, like I wasn't feeling very good, and I couldn't cope with the side effects anymore. So then he put me on this different med, which is the one that I'm currently on, and this one has been worse. So I wasn't really experiencing any side effects for the first two doses that he had me on, the lower one and then the next one, but then we upped it to the maximum dose, and that's when like shit kind of hit the fan. I've been dealing with really intense insomnia, like to the point where I can't fall asleep till like 11 in the morning, sometimes 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. Like I've seen the sun rise way too many times for my liking without having gone to sleep. Okay, like seeing the sunrise when like you're waking up is fine, but when you're still trying to fall asleep, that's when I don't want to be seeing the sunrise. I also recently pulled an all-nighter because I just wasn't like, I just couldn't sleep, and so I was like up, like I was up for over 24 hours because I just wasn't tired enough to go to sleep. I couldn't like shut my brain off. Like the insomnia has been like really intense. I've never experienced insomnia like this before, but I've always had trouble sleeping, so it's just been not fun. And then on top of that, like it's just making my depression way worse, to the point where I never want to get out of bed. And by the time I do get out of bed in the morning, late afternoon, I'm so tired because I've overslept and I just don't have any energy or motivation to do anything. So I end up just watching like YouTube all day or movies all day. Like I don't do anything productive. Like I haven't been reading at all this month. Like I read one book and that's it, and it's like the end of the month as I'm filming this. I don't know when I'm uploading this, but it's currently June 22nd, so I've only read one book this month, which is so bad compared to like the 14 or whatever books I read in May. That's just been like really not great, and I honestly just haven't felt like myself for the last 7 or so months because of trying all of these different antidepressants, and just I don't know, I just haven't felt like myself. I haven't been writing, haven't been reading. Like under normal circumstances, I would have read way more books by now, I would have written way more by now, and so I'm just feeling like really not like myself and really not happy. I haven't been filming either, obviously. Like this is like the smallest amount of videos I think I've uploaded in a year since starting my channel like 8 years ago or something crazy. Like I just have not been uploading this year, and it's making me really sad. I really miss uploading, I miss talking to you guys, and I miss sharing my reading and my writing with you all. So I have made the decision to stop stop taking antidepressants for now, so I'm currently petering off of the one that I'm currently on, and then I'm going to be taking a break from it. I don't know when I want to try experimenting with meds again, but for right now I want to feel like myself again, and I don't want to try all these different medications and just keep feeling like garbage. Like, I have things that I want to do and I just haven't been able to do them with the way that I've been feeling. So I just really want to get back to myself and see how I cope on my own again without meds. We're experimenting, we're trying new things, and I'm hoping that I can get to a bit of a better place. Fingers crossed, because I really miss doing all the things that I love. Like, I do not feel like myself when I'm not doing the things that I love, the things that fulfill me, which is reading, writing, and filming YouTube videos. So that's kind of the first little update, the first kind of main reason why I've been so absent from my channel this year is just antidepressants have been fucking me up, basically. The next thing is I've just been super overwhelmed this year, and I haven't really spoken about this at all. I think I let it slip once during a live show in the past few months, but it's finally like about to happen, so I want to share it with you all now. But we're moving like next week as I'm filming this, which is just so wild. So I've lived in this house my entire life, like save for a few months when I was a baby, but like we moved to this house when I was just a few months old, and it's been my home for my entire life. Like, this is the only place I've ever lived, and now we are moving. So basically the situation is we are tearing this house down and building a new one, and we've been in the process of designing that and figuring that out for about the last year, which is just been so wild and such like a long process. But yeah, so we're tearing this house down, building a new one. So obviously we need to be living somewhere else while this house is being torn down and rebuilt. So we are actually going to be staying in my grandma's house. She's currently living with my uncle right now because she can't really live on her own anymore. So her house has just been empty. So we're going to be living in her house for about the next year or so, however long it takes for this house to be built. And I've just been feeling so many emotions about it because I've known for most of my life that we were going to tear this house down eventually and build a new one. We just didn't know when it was going to happen. And then of course I've known concretely for like the last year or so that we were going to be doing it. We were designing a new house, like it was happening. And so I've had time to think about it, but it's finally sinking in that it's happening, and like we're moving out next week. So we're still gonna like have the house for a little while. We're basically moving to my grandma's house next week, taking all of the stuff that we need with us for the next year or so, and then once we're moved all the stuff we want out of the house, we are going to go through everything else. So we're going to sell furniture that we don't want anymore. We're going to pack up all of our stuff for storage. We basically need this house empty and like ready to like be inspected and torn down and everything by the end of July. And that's a really big undertaking because we've been in this house for 23 years. So that's 23 years worth of crap that we have to go through because we are kind of hoarders. Like, we're not hoarders, but like we keep a lot of things. A lot of my childhood things are in our attic and in the basement, and we have a lot of stuff, okay? And we've been slowly packing over the last year, but not really. And we have a lot of stuff to go through. So I have some stuff at my grandma's house already, but as you can see, like my books are still here. I still have a lot of my clothes here. Like, a lot of my stuff is still here. So I've been dealing with the, you know, realization and the, you know, coming to terms with the fact that I'm not gonna have all my stuff with me for a very long time, and I'm very attached to my things. Like, I am not a minimalist in any way. Like, I'm very attached to my books, love my things. Like, I kind of have like separation anxiety issues with my stuff. Like, when I am not with my stuff, I miss my stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, when I go on vacation, I get excited about coming home and being able to see my beautiful bookshelves and, you know, see my stuff. So coming to terms with the fact that I'm not going to have most of my book collection for the next year or so is making me really sad. It's stressing me out knowing that I have limited time left with these bookshelves before they go into storage with most of my book collection. So it's been a lot coming to terms with that and figuring out what I'm gonna want in the next year and a bit, figuring out what books I'm gonna take with me, since like I am such a mood reader. So I'm trying to figure out like what's easily accessible at the library for me, what books I think I'm gonna want to read, books I think I'm gonna want to reread because I'm an avid rereader. Like, it's been a lot, and I do plan on hopefully making a video talking about what books I'm bringing with me. Essentially, there is a bookcase in between my bedroom and the like craft room where my desk is, and I'm going to be taking that small bookcase with me to my grandma's house because that's pretty much what I'm able to fit in the room I'm going to be in, as well as like the easiest to take up the stairs to the bedroom. So I need to figure out how many books I can realistically fit into that bookcase, while also trying to keep in mind that I'm going to be buying more books in the next year and a bit that also will need a home on that bookcase. So I'm stressed out, to say the least, but I'm also dealing with like the emotional side of it and dealing with the fact that like this house just isn't gonna exist anymore, and it's my childhood home, and like I'm sad about it, but like obviously it's all for like good things. Like we're gonna be getting a better house and something that's more suited to our needs. Like this house, we've just outgrown it. It doesn't work for us anymore. We, like, me and my sibling live at home. We're never gonna be able to afford, quite honestly, a house or, you know, an apartment or anything with the way that Vancouver's housing prices are. So like we're pretty much stuck at home. So I've been dealing really recently, like in the last few days, it's like really dawned on me like, oh, like this is happening next week. Like my parents took a whole week off to move, and it's becoming really real, and I'm feeling really emotional about it. But it's an emotional thing. Like it's a good thing, but it's also just really bittersweet. Like I'm trying to take as many pictures of the house as I can. Like I took a bunch of pictures and videos of my bedroom the other day because I don't ever want to forget it. So it's been a wild time. I've been dealing with a lot of emotions, and then obviously, like I said, the antidepressants have been making me feel worse in general about everything. So that was another reason why I wanted to kind of get off of the antidepressants while we're moving, although I'm still going to be on them while we're moving because I need to wean off of them. But I just did not think it'd be a good idea for me to be on these antidepressants that are not working for me and making me feel worse while I'm already going through such a huge transition in my life. Like I've never moved before. I don't know how to move. It's so stressful packing everything up, and I'm just like, what if I lose something? What if something breaks? Like I'm stressed to the max. I mean, it's also just like emotional to like go through all of my stuff that I've accumulated over the last 23 years, like all my childhood memories, and I don't know, there's just so much about this house that is like, I don't know, I'm a very sentimental person, and so I'm gonna cry. So like I think about how I filmed every video in this house. I started my YouTube channel like literally right here, like literally like right here is where I started it, with this bookcase in the background. I'm also not keeping this bookcase because it's my oldest one and it's quite yellow in comparison, so my mom's taking this one, so this bookcase isn't even gonna like be in the background anymore. Yeah, like I started my channel here. You guys have like seen the growth of my book collection. I have so many memories of my best friend in this house, and just like my entire childhood is here, and it's just not going to exist anymore. Like it's emotional enough to think about moving out of your childhood home, but I'm moving out of my childhood home and we're tearing it down. Like it is not going to exist. I am literally going to watch them tear it down to the ground, and it's not going to be a thing anymore. I'm never going to be able to visit this room again. Like it's going to be gone, and I'm just having a hard time grappling with that at the moment. I mean, we're still gonna be living on the same lot, so at least like there's not that aspect of it. So I'm only saying goodbye to like the actual building, not the, you know, not the land. So that's helping a little bit, but I don't know, I'm just feeling really emotional about it all. I'm not going to be filming like any moving vlogs or anything, just because I'm so stressed and overwhelmed as it is with just the idea of moving, that I don't want to have to worry about bringing my camera around and filming clips of everything. So I'm just going to try to film as much as I can of like picking up books I want to bring with me, and then obviously like setting up things in the bedroom at my grandma's house. I'll obviously do like a bookshelf organization and everything like that, but yeah, no like official moving vlogs, and I don't know what I'm gonna do about the new house and moving vlogs for that. Probably not filming for that either. I don't know. I'm just really overwhelmed. So things are gonna look different coming up here whenever I run out of however many videos I end up pre-filming, and it's gonna be like exciting, you know, like a change of scenery, but I'd be lying if I said that I was like really looking forward to it. So it's something that we gotta do until we get the new house. I wish I could just snap my fingers and have it be done, but unfortunately that's not how the world works. So anyways, I'm gonna move on from the topic of moving now, but just know that like the antidepressants and the moving has really affected the publishing of videos, the making of videos, and reading and writing. So just keep that in mind as I talk about everything else, but I really just wanted to kind of get that out of the way. So I do want to talk about writing first. So the last writing vlog that I uploaded, I actually don't know what it was about. That's how long it's been. Okay, the title of it is just Draft 2 Continues. So I was working on Draft 2 of my project What You Mean to Me. It is my Starstruck inspired novel and I love it so much. So I was working on Draft 2 of that and I did finish it. I don't know when I finished it. I should grab my bullet journal so I can like give you guys the stats. Okay, hold on. Okay, I got my bullet journal. So I finished it last month. I don't know at what point in the month I finished it, but I finished it at some point in May. So the final word count for Draft 2 is 62,148 words, which is just so exciting because this book was really small. I think I added 20,585 words in this revision, so I'm really happy with that. I still think it needs more. I just don't know what it needs more of. It's currently out with a beta reader, so I'm sure I'll hear about that in the coming weeks and I can figure out a plan from there. But the final page count is 270 pages. Actually, I think these numbers might have changed slightly because I think I did a read through after writing this all down and didn't take into account that I would probably change things as I was reading through it, which I did. So I think these numbers have fluctuated just a little bit. I just don't remember what they are. So that is what happened with What You Mean to Me. I'm relatively happy with the revisions. I like the way that it's shaped up. It's a huge improvement from Draft 1, which I'm really happy with, and I actually think it's my cleanest second draft that I've ever done because this is, I think, the first time that I've not done like a total rewrite of a book. Normally I draft the book and it sucks and I have to completely like rewrite it with keeping maybe like a few things from that first draft. But this is the first time that I haven't done that. It was just a lot of bulking up what I already had, adding in new scenes, just making everything better and more. So that was like a really different experience for me this early on in the process. I've also never shared a second draft with anybody, and so that's also really stressful that somebody's like gonna be reading my second draft. But like I said, I do think it's my cleanest second draft that I've ever done, so that feels really great. And overall, like, I do feel solid about the story itself and the book and everything like that, although I did have a dream about it the other night, I think, that my friend hated it, so that's fun. But overall, I am like pretty happy with where it's at right now, and I'm excited to jump into revisions again at some point. I don't know when that's going to be, but I'm assuming at some point this year. I don't know. So my original plan after finishing the Whimtim revisions was to jump into my adult rom-com, which I'm tentatively calling Mission Rom-Com. That's just like the project title that I gave it, but I don't know if it's going to be like the actual title or not. I don't know, but I'm calling it Mission Rom-Com. It's loosely inspired by How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, which is my favorite rom-com ever. And yeah, it was basically my plan this month in June to outline it, do all the character brainstorming, and just figure everything out so that I could participate in Camp NaNoWriMo next month in July. So that has not happened at all. If we look at my days written spread this month, I've written for 4 days. There's 4 days that I've written in here, which is just not great. And I did a little bit of the work in May, but not nearly enough. And there's just so much to figure out about this project still. Like, I don't know the full plot, and there's no way that I'm going to be able to figure it out in the next week. So I've decided not to do Camp NaNoWriMo, which I'm really sad about because I really did want to do it. And I was really excited about drafting this project next month. But it is so different for me because it is an adult book, and I've never written an adult before. So it's very nerve-wracking, and I don't have the book figured out, and I'm not gonna have the book figured out anytime soon. So that's really upsetting. So I think the new plan is that I'm going to try to figure it out next month and hopefully maybe start drafting it in August. I don't have like super high hopes, and I don't want to hold myself to anything just because life is so overwhelming right now. Like, I'm moving to a new house and it's going to be a huge adjustment, and I know that like no matter what, like it's going to like really affect my mental health regardless of like if I'm on meds or not. Like, I'm not gonna be okay, and I know that going into it because I'm not good with change, and this is obviously like a huge change. Yeah, so I'm hoping to draft it in August, but I'm not gonna hold myself to that. And I also think that I need to think critically and realistically about my writing plans for the rest of the year. I think I definitely like shot too high with my writing plans because I wanted to revise Whimtim, which I did, but I want to like still revise that further. Like I want to revise it a few more times. I wanted to outline and draft Mission Rom-Com. I wanted to outline and figure out my PEI story, my PEI book, so that I could apply to a Canada Arts grant in October to hopefully get for next year. Don't know if that's going to be happening anymore. I guess we'll see. And then I also wanted to outline and draft my middle grade novel. I don't think that's going to happen. Like there's just no way that I can work on that many books with everything going on at the moment with my mental health and with moving and just with everything. Like I just don't think that's going to happen. So something is going to have to be sacrificed. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if I'm going to be able to figure out Mission Rom-Com enough to draft it this year, or if it's one of those books that just needs to simmer for a while. I don't know if I'm going to be able to figure out my middle grade enough to write it this year. I don't know. We're just going to have to see what happens. I need to be a bit easy on myself with everything going on. Like I just need to stop beating myself up for everything that is not going how I wanted it to. This has just been a very, very rough year for me. Yeah, anyways, that's kind of the writing update. Not a whole lot going on, unfortunately. This is not a year for writing, it seems, so it is what it is. I do just want to talk about some books that I've been reading recently, because I haven't been filming wrap-ups this year, and I also just haven't been doing too many reading vlogs, so I'm just excited to share some of these books with you. So I chose 4 books that I don't think I've mentioned on my channel yet that I really want to talk about. So in no particular order, the first one is As If on Cue by Marissa Cantor. This is a YA contemporary book. It's basically a rivals to lovers situation, and I'm obsessed with it. And it's about like these two people having to come together and write this musical for their school to kind of save the arts programs and get funding for them. And it was just literally so good. Like I was on such a like YA contemporary high in May that I was just like devouring so many different YA contemporaries. Like I could not get enough of them, and this one was definitely one of my favorites. I am just obsessed with these characters and the romance. Like it definitely has some of my favorite tropes. Like I said, the rivals to lovers was really, really fun, but there's also like the element of like the guy falls first and he falls harder, and it was just so beautifully done. Like the first kiss scene in this book had me like feral. Like I was losing my goddamn mind. Like my jaw was on the floor. I was like, oh my god, is this happening right now? This book just hit all of the marks for me. I absolutely adored it. I think Marissa Cantor deserves more hype. I don't really hear about her books very often, but I'm obsessed with this one. I also love her other book, What I Like About You. I really, really loved this book. So if you like musical theater, if you like rivals to lovers, I definitely recommend this one. It was a lot of fun. And then the only book that I've read this month is Planes, Trains, and All the Feels by Livy Hart. So Livy Hart is one of my dear friends. She wrote Talk Flirty to Me, which if you guys have been on my channel at all, you know is one of my favorite books of all time, and it was my favorite book of last year. So obviously I was highly anticipating Planes, Trains, and All the Feels, which is like loosely inspired by Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, if you couldn't tell from the title. And I was really, really excited for this book. She did send me her manuscript of it like forever ago, and I just never got around to reading it. Like she sent it to me a couple of times, and I never got around to reading it, and I feel terrible about that. But I finally read it when it came out, and I annotated it, which was a lot of fun, because when she sends me her books through like Google Docs, like I will leave 1,000,001 comments, so it's like I'm annotating it. And it was like kind of cool to like have my first read of this book and all my thoughts be like in there. So my first thoughts of this book are written down, and I tabbed it a whole lot. Like it's chock full of annotations, and I am so excited to read it again. Maybe this year, I don't know. I do tend to read her books more than once in a single year, so that's fun. But yeah, I just really, really loved this one. It's so funny. I love her writing. It's so clever. It's so entertaining. The romance was to die for. It was definitely like not enemies to lover, and not quite like hate to love either. It's just kind of like they don't like get along at the beginning. So like if you've seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, it's kind of like those vibes where they're just kind of like butting heads and whatnot. It's just really, really good, and I loved all of like the things that were going wrong. Normally I don't like books where like everything that could go wrong does go wrong. That typically doesn't work for me, but for some reason it really, really worked for me in this book. It was just so much fun. And I did watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for the first time last year, I think around like October, November. to kind of prepare me for this book. So knowing what happens in that, I was like, I wonder how she's gonna tackle those like obstacles in her book and like what's gonna happen. And it was so entertaining, and I loved Luke and Cassidy literally so much. So I highly recommend this book. It was so much fun to read, and it's the only book that I've read this month, and I just like, if I'm gonna read one book in a month, I'm glad that it was this one, you know? Another recent obsession of mine is 7% of Roe Devereaux by Ellen O. Clover. I don't think I've talked about this on my channel. I could be wrong though. I read this a couple months ago, but I absolutely adored it. Like, I didn't hear anybody talking about this book, but it kept catching my eye in the bookstore, and it just seemed really interesting. So it's basically about our main character who designs an app inspired by the game MASH, so Mansion, Apartment, Shack, House, if you guys ever played that as a kid, where you try to like predict your future. So she used that game as inspiration for this life predicting, future predicting app. Basically just says like, I can figure out like your perfect match. I can figure out like what your life is going to look like with like with a certain amount of accuracy. Like, I don't know how to explain this, but like, you know, like basically with a certain amount of accuracy, she can predict your life using this app's algorithm. So she ends up getting like picked up by this like tech company, and they're like, okay, like to prove the legitimacy of this app and to prove that it works, we want you to find your match through the app and date them so that we can like show that this works. And her perfect match ends up being her old like childhood best friend that no longer talks to her, and it's so good. So it's a second chance romance. It's like childhood best friends to lovers. So it's like childhood best friends to enemies, kind of, or to hate to lovers, and it's beautiful. Actually, it's kind of like to fake dating to lovers. Like, it's everything that I love in one single book, and the whole app thing was very interesting, and just everything about this book was so good. Like, I'm obsessed with it. I think I read it in a day, like in 2 sittings. Super tabbed up. I'm just obsessed with it, and it's definitely one of my favorite books of this year, so I highly recommend this one as well. And the last book I quickly want to talk about is The Odds by Lindsay Puckett. So Scholastic sent me an ARC of this book, so thank you so much to them for sending this to me. Oh my god, this book was so cute. I was really excited to read this, and as a part of Besties in Books, which is my book club with my friend Alyssa, we did like middle grade May last month, which we didn't do that great with, but it is what it is. And this is one of the books that I just knew I had to read, and it was like one of my favorites that I read. It was so much fun. Like, I really enjoyed The Glass Witch by Lindsay Puckett when I read it last year, but I think I might have liked this one even more, and I don't even know why. It's just so spoopy, and it's just like the plot twist in this like blew my actual mind. Like, I was like, oh my god, it was insane. Like, I was not expecting that, and it was just so much fun to follow these characters. Begonia, I love Begonia so much. I don't even know how to like describe this book, but she basically lives in this manor that is like an old person's home, and they have these things called oddities, which is like special little like powers, I guess, and she hasn't received her oddity yet. And if she doesn't receive it by her birthday, which is coming up, then she'll be removed from her home and sent to like the mortal world to like live with like the normal people, and she won't be able to see all of her like grandparents, as she calls them, all of the old people in the manor. So she's like on a mission to find her oddity, and it's just it was such a charming little book. So I definitely recommend picking this one up when it comes out in September. The ARC says it comes out September 19th. It was just so much fun. I'm so excited for everyone else to read it, but I just really wanted to give a little shout out to this, even though you guys can't read it yet, but just keep an eye out for it in September. It's only a few months away. Okay, this video has gone on way longer than I thought it would, so we're just gonna quickly answer some questions. My camera is also dying, which is fun. So I asked for questions on Instagram, and Haley asked, how are you doing? Which I really appreciate her asking me that. She is amazing. But yeah, I'm doing not great. Like I talked about at the beginning of the video, I'm just very overwhelmed. I have a lot going on. The antidepressants have been kicking my ass, but I'm hoping to get to a better place as I come off of these meds and hopefully settle in at my grandma's house house, I'm hoping that my kind of mental state will stabilize a little bit, because I'm not doing great at the moment. It's fine. I'm finding little joys in my day. I'm currently creating a miniature library, which has really been fueling me and like fulfilling me creatively, so I've been really enjoying that. So I've been finding little joys. I've been binge watching Degrassi, so like I've gotten, you know, my joys from somewhere, so I'm doing okay, but also like I'm not doing that great. It's fine. Haley also asked, what are you working on now and next? So I'm assuming she means writing wise. So like I said, I'm kind of currently working on Mission Rom-Com, hoping to draft that next. But after that, it's either going to be Wim Tim revisions, like draft 3, or trying to figure out my PEI book. It kind of depends. I'm not entirely sure. Kate's Hobbies asked, is YouTube/writing your full-time job? Technically, like I don't get any money from writing, but I do that full-time. But YouTube I do get paid from, but it's not very often. Like I don't get paid every single month or anything. Like you have to hit $100 before they send you any money, and because I haven't been uploading much this year, I haven't been making much from YouTube. But I am lucky and privileged enough to live at home and not have a whole lot of expenses, so I make it through. My parents are very supportive, and they, you know, they help me out a lot, which I'm just so grateful for, and obviously I'm very privileged to have their support like that. But yeah, I did have a job before COVID hit. I quit my job because I didn't want to be working retail during COVID. So my mom has asthma and I didn't want to be out in public that much, and then I just became too anxious over the pandemic, and my anxiety just got way worse, and I just haven't been able to get another job. Technically YouTube is my full-time job, but it doesn't really pay like a full-time job, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, so those are all the questions I'm gonna answer. I'm really happy to have filmed a video, so I hope you just bear with me. I love you all so much, and I thank you for sticking by me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, enjoyed all the little updates that I gave you. Like this video if you did enjoy it. Comment down below and let me know how you have all been recently, because I miss you and I want to know how you're doing. And subscribe if you have not yet already. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.